Understanding the technology that powers the money is essential. Knowing the business drivers that inspire how the money is made is crucial. Bridging the gap between the mind of the technologist and the mind of the business is monumental. That is what TBF is all about. Let's start this never-ending conversation. It's time.
Welcome to another episode of The Tech Behind FinTech. I am your host, Namdi Oswagu. Joining me is the CEO of Hello Alice, Elizabeth Gore. How are you doing today, Elizabeth? Elizabeth, I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
All right. Howdy. How are y'all?
Hey, how are you today?
Good. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Look, I am so excited about today's episode. I know I say that my audience will say, "Oh, he says that every week." No, because I have really good topics and really good guests. So yes,
yeah, it's okay to be. It would be bad if you weren't excited every time, right?
I love it. So today's episode, AI-powered finance, the new small business stack. I'm really passionate about small businesses. In general, just entrepreneurship and things of that nature. So I'm really excited to get into today's topic. Before we do, let me do some housekeeping. We are streaming live from Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We also have a separate stream going from Instagram. And that is housekeeping. And let me now formally introduce my guest by reading her wonderful bio, and then we'll get into today's topic.
It's going to make me tired when you read it.
Cool, good. Elizabeth Gore serves as co-founder and president of Hello Alice, a financial technology that provides access to capital, connections, and education to over 1.5 million entrepreneurs. In turn, Hello Alice's business health engine for banks and enterprise businesses services help corporations increase engagement and transactions with small business. Hello Alice remains steadfast in this mission to ensure that every small business owner has the resources to thrive and live their dream. Elizabeth previously served as entrepreneur in residence at Dell Technologies. There she drove initiatives to support Dell's goals of helping small and medium businesses scale and prosper globally. Elizabeth is also the host of the Yahoo Finance show and podcast, The Big Idea, and author of Inc. Magazine's Small Business column. Elizabeth is an invested limited partner with Portfolio Fund and is an advisor to Ring Ventures, a Texas A&M University-oriented investment fund. In addition, Elizabeth is part owner of Gore Family Vineyards in Sonoma County. She is the emeritus chair of the United Nations Global Entrepreneur Council and previously served the UN for nearly a decade at the UN Foundation as vice president of global partnerships, where she founded strategic grassroots efforts like Nothing But Nets and Girl Up. Additionally, Elizabeth is a former U.S. Peace Corps volunteer for which she served in Bolivia. Elizabeth also has been a leader in organizations like President H.W. Bush's Points of Light Foundation, Share Our Strength, and the Texas A&M Foundation. People magazine named her one of its top 100 extraordinary women. Fast Company called her one of the most creative people in business. She was named one of the Entrepreneurs Magazine Women to Watch. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm excited.
Thank you. I'm a mama, which I think is more important than all of that.
I love it. I'm kind of upset. One about your Peace Corps, and you only mentioned Bolivia in your bio. What about Nigeria?
Oh yeah, so I that's why I was like, you've got to be Nigerian. Yeah, I was mostly worked in and out of West Africa and then Northeast. So I had a great pleasure to work in Nigeria for quite some time. So I loved it there.
Do me a favor, can you just add that part to your bio?
Sir, done and done.
I
I'll
love
put
it.
it at the top, first sentence.
I love it. I love it.
Actually,
I love it.
that's one of the places I got really obsessed with small business is I just, in Lagos especially was, those who could, of course here we would say business, but could create their own business, could pay for primary school and healthcare. And I just felt like it was so much important, the UN is such this huge institution, but when you look at what folks really could be empowered with their own families and economic wealth. And I really started noticing that in Nigeria. And then I came home and was like, holy crap, it's so important in every country that there's a thriving small business economy.
And I did previous episodes with entrepreneurs that have tech-enabled small businesses or help small business, especially in Africa and globally. And a lot of people, you obviously know this based on your Hello Alice, but small businesses are the backbone of many economies across the
All
globe.
of
And
them.
yeah, it's like
If you go through a town, where are you from in Nigeria?
oh, my father, Mbise.
So like where you're from, or like if you go through where I'm from in South Texas, and if you see towns that thrive and towns that die, and the ones that thrive have a strong main street. They have a strong ability to, it's not the big corporate jobs that come in, right? If they can continue to have small business, those local economies thrive. I mean, it's critical anywhere in the world.
No, I absolutely. That's why I'm really passionate about small businesses for that reason. I mean, even if you look at the fintech landscape, right? Before, I mean, everybody, of course, wants a unicorn and things of that nature, right? But when you first start off working with like 10 people and servicing so many different customers, I mean, it's just an amazing story in how something so small can impact so many, and then building that up. Technology and
Absolutely.
scale, obviously, but just that coming up with that idea and adding value to so many lives. I've always been passionate about that.
Well, also, small businesses are the number one employers in the United States, specifically. In 99% of businesses in this country are small. So I'm always interested in, we pay so much attention in like you said, the unicorns, but that's 1% of companies, right? And so it's critical. And also the other thing is, I think during COVID especially, we realized how much small business impacts our daily lives. So like my cup of coffee from Plank this morning, right? I went and got our dry cleaning, childcare, my accountant, my daily life is driven by small business. And, people don't really think about that until they didn't have it for a while, right?
Is it? I mean, you're obviously interested in this small business realm. How is it communicating AI to them?
Yeah, that's interesting because small AI adoption on Main Street is actually quite low. We're at Hello Alice, we're doing a lot of advocacy, a lot of teaching around that. So you have, direct to consumer adoption. So the individual who has Chat GPT on their phone, and then you have enterprise AI, but really that, under 10 employees, critical use of AI in the business, the adoption is quite low. So we are working really day and night for two things. One is to encourage enterprise. So if you look at a PayPal, a Square, a QuickBooks, are they integrating AI into their existing tools for small business? That's very important. And so we tell small business owners, I'm going to pick on QuickBooks, but if you have your QuickBooks, make sure you downloaded the latest and learned their AI tools that are inside that to help you. So that's one, right? The second is using actual small business AI tools, of which there's not that many. I feel like small business is always the last to have quote enterprise software. So Hello Alice and a lot of us as partners on the social side are developing free AI tools for small business planning because there's really not a lot out there. And I think that's critical. And then the third I would say is so many small businesses are treated like direct to consumer. So I, as a small business owner, my pet shop, my coffee shop, I need to be using like a consumer AI tools for scheduling, for building my websites, for so much. And the biggest reason why is because we're time poor. And AI is bringing so much time back to our lives and it's lowering costs. And so how we develop and really look at these tools is going to be critical, but it does take a second to, and working, on the business versus in the business is always really hard for business owners, but really stepping back and saying, okay, whether it's when my shop is closed on a Saturday morning or a Thursday night, I need to actually pause and learn how to use these tools because it is going to save me so much time and money later.
So what do you say, well, you mentioned your coffee shop, you mentioned the dry cleaning. What
Hmm.
do you say to small business owners who are really good at their business, but
Hmm.
they are literally petrified
Yeah.
regarding technology? And this is just basic technology. Now, when you start adding AI, way
Yeah.
too complex. I'm going to try to get my nephew, who's a freshman in college majoring in art, to come play around with the computer. Other than that, I don't want to
Yeah.
touch it.
Well, you're right. I mean, we use the term digital transformation, and especially there's, millions of legacy businesses in the United States. If you look at your auto mechanics, if you look at your local grocers, you will still see folks writing receipts. I mean, that's when you talk about legacy, right? Folks who are still taking cash, folks who, I mean, so that, first of all, let's make sure, I know this sounds crazy, but we have Wi-Fi and broadband, right? Because everything's useless without that. So, I mean, are you even Wi-Fi enabled at your store? I know that sounds basic, but it's so important. The second thing is there should be no more paper. I tell a lot of business owners there should be no more paper in your store. You should not be writing receipts. You should not be writing down business plans. Everything, there should be a computer in your store. That is like ground zero. And again, it will save you time. If you don't know how to use it, I guarantee you there is a local SBA office, a local college, a local anything that will come in and set you up for free. I promise you that. Last is you might not want to write that $10 a month for PayPal receivables or QuickBooks accounting or a Salesforce CRM, but it will save you time and money over the long term to really understand how that software will be there. It will also save you from mistakes. So taxes, accounting principles, also laws change so fast right now, and a lot of those softwares will keep you up to date on, what's taxes, what's permitting, and so on. So it's just super critical to go through that digital transformation on the basics.
I mean that's absolutely good advice. I know. So outside of technology, I'm into real estate. So working with my contractor, we have in a home, gave him a check. Tried to do it digital, that wasn't working, and I said, listen, with this check, you don't have to go to the bank. You can literally download the app, take a picture of it. It'll save you time. He's like, no, I got a text and it seemed like a hack, and I don't want to take chances, and I don't want anybody to hack me. So a lot of
Right.
small businesses you may deal with, because they see on the news, not only on the news, they're experiencing these random
Yeah.
text messages.
Yeah.
I get calls from like Google, right? Google,
Yeah.
like,
Well, Namdi,
it'll-
let's think about that person. Okay. How
yeah,
much do you think? So if a gallon of gas cost,
you're mute. You said, can you hear me? Yeah, something happened. I can't hear you anymore.
guys, is that better?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's
Speaking
perfect.
of
So
tech enabled, you'll have to forgive me. So let's go
that's
back
all.
to your gentleman who's the construction individual. So two things on that. What I would say to him or her, I would say, if it's $5 a gallon for gas, and that bank is 5 miles away, so how much in gas is it going to cost you to drive to the bank, and in time to deposit that check versus the 20 seconds that it's going to take to deposit on your phone, save that gas mileage, and save you time. So that's one thing. So just doing the simple math sometimes is helpful. The second thing is cyber attacks are actually the most targeted audience in the United States are small businesses. So any kind of cyber and financial attacks. Ironically, the use of digital through, let's just say, secure apps is safer than paper. It is, and we talk about that a lot. So using secure payments and receivables, using secure bank apps is safer than walking around with paper checks. And so again, I think it's basic knowledge of all of this to understand that it's saving you time, it's saving you money, and it's saving you security. And again, those are just conversations we all need to have with each other and really understand this.
And something that we see on the small business side is, especially you get a lot of ads about it, especially people who buy small businesses. It's the older population that's reaching the point in which their kids are on, like, they want to be social media influencers, right? They do not want to take over the business. And
right.
This population faces a real problem. Like, there's no legacy planning. There's like, okay, I need to either sell this or put this thing down.
Yeah, I mean, there's 76 million baby boomers right now in America. So really think about that. And that generation, I mean, the biggest surge of small business growth was right after World War II, and now it went down and now we're coming back up. But those 76 million boomers, those who will not be passing on their business, I mean, there's two options there. One is to really create, what is my exit strategy to ultimately close this business, which means I need to, and please, anyone out there, work with a financial planner. It does not cost you money. Or your banker, frankly. So really think about, here's the amount of money I need to retire. And that would be also thinking about when do I close my business and how do I start scaling back and putting cash in the bank? So that's one. The other is people do love to buy small businesses. And I also always encourage an entrepreneur who wants to get into a business.
Mute again. I can't hear you. This is. Yeah, we're just waiting for Elizabeth to just her sound is off. But great stuff that she's saying right now, especially when it comes to when you're planning to exit the business, working with a financial planner or a banker, in order to understand what you would need for retirement. Those are the last conversations that we had. She also mentioned there's 76 million baby boomers, where small business starting it was going up during World War II. We started to see a shift, but now it's back on the rise. So, succession planning and things of that nature, we're getting into it. We're just waiting for her audio to come back, and we're gonna, jump into some more conversations.
Let's try this, guys. All right,
we're good now.
For some reason, my computer hasn't had enough coffee this morning. But I wanted to talk a minute, and I'm sorry about that, Namdi. I wanted to talk about two sides of this other coin. So again, I'm aging. I need to exit my business. One of the areas is to really think about selling your business locally. And I don't mean some big entrepreneurial billion-dollar exit here. I have a dry cleaner, I have a mechanic, I'm an accountant, I'm a CPA, I'm a dentist with a roster of clients. So pause there. I'm also wanting to enter this space. I want to own a hardware store. I'm a new accountant who needs a roster of clients. It is a smart investment to think about getting a small business loan to also purchase a business. And you're walking in there with a trusted brand, a trusted group of clients, and an infrastructure you don't have to set up yet. Now, your capital investment will be higher upfront, but you're going to get revenue faster than you would from starting from scratch. So how do those matches get made is the next question. Again, if you're in a smaller economy, I can't underscore going to your like multiple 4 or 5 banks in your wherever your city is. Talk to the bankers. Do you know businesses that are trying to exit? Chambers, local chambers, excellent resource for that as well. And so I like the pairing of I need to sell my business and then I want to enter a business. So those are 2 choices for folks who are looking to exit, is more of a scale down philosophy where I'm putting cash in the bank, starting to sell off assets and then close, or am I looking for a local buyer?
So a few years ago, I had the pleasure of getting access to this community called the Search Fund community.
Ooh,
Yeah, so get this, right? I didn't even know this exists. A friend of
okay.
mine did it. So it started in these like a lot of Ivy League programs during the MBAs. Then they're faced, okay, am I going to go work at some big bank, or can I buy a small business?
Mhm.
These guys have no experience in the business itself, but trained in the operation side. So I got introduced to it because a friend of mine graduated from Harvard, and him and his one of his partners, they had started a fund and said, we're going to buy. They got some investors, and they ended up buying a short term medical supply company.
Huh,
It worked out well for them because they bought it right before COVID.
yeah,
They did very very well. But this community, they're buying random businesses. It's just and they get investors, and they get the SBA loan, they get the down payment. So it works on both sides.
right.
Get this business, and then the person exiting, they get a smooth exit. But it was called the Search Fund. And I went to a conference a few years ago at Harvard regarding it. It's just so many people, they're hungry looking for. That's what they
Yeah,
really
I
spend.
love that. I love
once
that.
once they find the business, they become owner operators, and that's their new job. So it's
Brilliant.
either go and work on Wall Street, or go work on Main Street and own a business. And then their goal is to, with the operational efficiencies, increase the revenue. Then either they sell it, they refinance it, and keep going, pay
Yeah,
off their investors, and yeah,
I love
that
it.
was much
I
it.
want a t-shirt that says "Screw Wall Street, take me to Main Street," right? I love it.
Love it.
Uh,
So let's get into the AI financing, right? So I'm
mhm.
really, how you do it. Look, I read this stat. I want to read this stat to you, and I want you to help me understand how we're solving this problem. So the US small business lending market is valued at 1.4 trillion,
Uh-huh.
yet 350 billion to 750 billion remains unmet,
Yeah.
creating significant capital access. When they say unmet, like what does that mean, right? Like, either while U.S. banks and fintechs and other lenders could potentially provide up to 1.4 trillion in loans to small business, a huge portion of that demand is not being met. Whether the small business owners getting rejected, they're offered less than what they need, or they never apply or
Yeah,
qualify.
and I'll add a stat in there. 40 billion is the BIPOC community that have applied and been declined small business credit or loans. And that is our absolute insane passion at Hello Alice. It's one of the reasons we started. Was there are so many amazing small business owners and entrepreneurs out there who have awesome business plans. However, the way our system has been built, they're just not conducive to that first 24 months of the business. So let's say I'm a U.S. veteran. I've been deployed. I come back. I have no credit history. It is nearly impossible to get that small business loan because I haven't built up enough. And most of those first couple of years, they're looking at your personal credit history. I'm a woman who's been in a care economy. I've been doing childcare, my own kids, elder care. Again, no credit history. I'm someone who grew up in a disadvantaged neighborhood. Maybe I missed 2 bills, my phone bill, $25, and suddenly I have bad credit. Yet that was when I was 21, and now I've lived a very successful life. I'm not going to get that. So, things are changing, which make me happy. I'm a huge fan of the trend on open banking. Huge fan of this. And what that looks at is, and people are nervous about it. Talk about nervousness, like opening up my accounts and letting people see everything. But the whole idea is, let's say I have a t-shirt company. I'm getting rejected for loans, so I open up my books, and folks see, wow, they've had exact correct payments on their credit cards, on their light bill, on their commercial real estate for 2 years. They have $100,000 in receivables a month, and so why wouldn't we give this individual a loan? And so, I do think there is evolutions coming. I'm a fan of secured credit. So some folks can't get really good operational credit, and so predatory credit or come after them, or crazy interest rates. Some folks offer secured credit where you can actually put up a deposit and get that credit. Now, I still know the deposit can be hard. It can be $500,000, but you can still get that credit and then be fastidious about paying it back on time and ultimately graduate into unsecured credit. I'm a huge fan of small business grants. You will hear me forever talk about small business grants. So there is, billions of dollars in small business grants in the United States, and that might be from like we've done 60 million in small business grants at Hello Wallace. Those are purely philanthropic, non-dilutive, from $10,000 to $50,000. Most cities and states offer small business grants to businesses in those zip codes. There are federal small business grants. So there are private foundations. Now, yes, you have to put the work in to apply, just like you would a business loan. But those are, excellent, non-dilutive ways. I mean, we wrote, oh my gosh, Carol and I, when we were first getting started with zero money, we just wrote application after application. So now that's our give back, is we're so passionate about grants. So there are ways, to get around that, but it is an unmet need. I always get shocked because I wish the banks were more innovative on how to dig deeper beyond the systems they have to pull folks into Main Street capital. I do think the FinTechs, the modern FinTechs, are really hacking at this. I know Intuit now has lending programs that are a little bit more aggressive. Square is starting some, PayPal starting some. So I do think the more modern FinTechs have capital that's a little bit more flexible. And then finally, I always have to say at the end, please stay away from predatory loans and predatory credit. If it looks too good to be true, it 100% is. So
Yeah, you touched on a lot. I want to unpack some of the things you said, and I want to also talk about a story regarding that of a previous guest. The first thing I want to unpack, because people are going to definitely be interested in this, the grants.
yeah,
How do they work? Because a lot of people, you get intimidated with grants, and they see a lot of stuff on the internet, and I'm
yeah,
going to help you out with this grant, and it turns out that you're going to pay this person money, it doesn't really work out.
yeah.
But obviously, from what you just mentioned, I guess with your co-founder Carol, you guys
Uh-huh.
applied for a lot of grants, and obviously must have
Mhm.
got them when you started Hello Alice. What advice can you give to small
Sure.
business?
Well, let me say one thing, that just what you said. If you have to pay someone or something or an entity to apply, that do not do that. So we'll just start there. So two types of grants. Well, there's three types really. Again, most city, state, and federal. So if there's a .gov that's offering grants, that's definitely legitimate. And it might be your county economic development board, it might be the city of New York, or it might be, a federal HHS grant. So those are, again, non-dilutive. You apply for those and so on. The second category would be just purely philanthropic grants. So that's like at Hello Alice, we have a funding center where we pull in from different donors grants that you apply. Ours are double bottom line grants, so they're generally I have a great growing company, but it has some kind of community benefit, for example. And so, but other philanthropic grants, I mean, Kauffman Foundation, Skoll Foundation, I mean, there's so many organizations out there that do small business grants. Make sure those are .org behind them, and or that you do a little bit of research, make sure it's a reputable organization. It shouldn't be like a one-off thing on Facebook. It should be actually an institution, an organization. The third area, which I'm a huge fan of, are what I would call innovation grants. So I'll do a couple of examples. So DoorDash, and these are usually grants that are going to somehow benefit the supply chain of a larger corporation. So DoorDash does small business grants to restaurants to update their technology so that they can deliver food, for example. PepsiCo does a lot of grants around CPG, new food packaging. They want to see your innovations. L'Oreal does grants around beauty because they want to, again, see that modern innovation that's coming in. So Dell Technology does a lot of tech grants. So those are three types of grants that you should really pay attention to. And that could be you're just getting started all the way up even in 20 years in business. And
Really?
then the federal government will have, I saw the SBA and the White House just announced grants around if you are inshore supply chain, for example. So they're trying to bring, train manufacturing inshore. So I don't know all the details yet. I just saw it, but it's construction, it's supply chain, anything inshore. So anyways, it sounds silly, Namdi, but an easy way is to get Google alerts on small business grants or Google alerts on grants in construction and just see those pop up as they're announced.
That doesn't sound silly at all, and I'm mad that I haven't been doing it. So, but I think I'm going to set up my Google alerts for some of the ventures.
Yeah, and we have right now at Hellos about 8 million in grants available, and but they're always in specific categories. It might be a program for Detroit, or it might be something specific to commercial vehicle. We have a grant program with Progressive on commercial vehicle small businesses, and so you just have to kind of look and see which ones fit your business.
Do me a favor. I know we usually wait to the end of the show, but because it's so germane to what we're talking about, can you just give the audience background about Hello Alice and how it helps entrepreneurs so that we could kind of further understand it and leverage some of that
Absolutely. So Hello Alice, we're a for-profit social enterprise. Our number one goal is equitable access to capital to small businesses. So we're really proud. We have a little over 1.5 million small businesses on our platform who are accessing credit, loans, grants. We have business planning tools. We have AI agents that help you pull through your financial fitness. And then my favorite thing that my co-founder built is the business health score. So before you apply for anything, you come onto the site, put in a specific amount of data, and we will spit out your financial fitness from 0 to 100. So if you're at a 75, we'll then put you through a 90-day program that helps you improve that score by, cash flow, taxes, cyber, whatever that is. And we're a free platform. And we're also have this kind of accidental awesome cult community, and small business owners connect with each other and help each other out. And then we have newsletters and events, and then the way we make money, the way we've been able to stay free, is we work with enterprise folks to ensure that they are doing a better job engaging and transacting with small businesses. So banks use Hello Alice, FinTechs, business services like Google, Amazon, Salesforce, and so on. So back to the grants, I am constantly pushing everyone in the United States to give money to small businesses. So helloalice.com/funding is where our grant center is.
You know what? And because we're a live show, you said helloalice.com/funding. All right.
Yes.
We're gonna put that on the screen.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna put that on the screen right now. I mean, this is the benefits of doing as you said, digital, right? Digital show.
Right, totally. And then we have a show, as you said, called The Big Idea with Yahoo Finance, where we really learn from all of you. We learn from entrepreneurs about their best tips on building their businesses. We talk a lot about the mistakes that have been made. And then at the end of the show, we always give shout outs to small business owners doing extraordinary things. But that really is, every show is a very specific, like, how do I use AI in my small business? How do I pick my best product to go to market? How do I use my brand? So very specific tidbits on that, on the big idea.
Oh, I love it. You mentioned a term. I'm not as familiar with the grant world, and you said
Mhm.
double bot.
Double
What's
bottom line. So, and it's interesting. I think the vast majority of small businesses fit in this category. But if you have a business that really provides a community benefit, so a lot, and hopefully you're making a ton of money as well. But let's say you created a commercial vehicle company for elder care to drive elder seniors to their medical appointments. Let's say that there's a real vacuum of childcare in your community. So you created a for-profit childcare center so other people can go to work. Let's say you've got an amazing restaurant, but on the weekends you're feeding for free firefighters. So we call it double bottom line because you're making money, but you're also, your other bottom line is helping your community.
That's cool. I know some of the misconceptions with grants, when you hear about it, at least from a small business perspective, is that you have to be a nonprofit. If you're not a
Yeah.
nonprofit, you even waste your time. So I'm happy that you talked about that in terms of the for-profit
Yes.
entity.
Yeah,
Also
we
get
don't we don't our funding only goes to for-profit small businesses.
Oh, I absolutely love it. So, in talking about this in finance, how does AI play into it?
So we were very blessed to early on do our build under the leadership of Michael Dell and Dell Technologies, and they have a shop that's called Pivotal, which is machine learning and AI. So this is 10 years ago now, which is wild. But in the early days, it was very costly to input data, build decision trees, code on top of that, so that, for us, it was really important that every business owner got specific advice on their finances, but based on their stage of growth, their physical location, and their industry. Back then, you had to put in so much data to make that scale. Now, with AI, I mean, put in data and it's spitting it out immediately. I mean, it's just amazing. It's less costly. So what I'm excited about, I mean, our mission has always been, while we're open to everyone, we've focused in making sure a lot of our platform is the new majority: women, people of color, US veterans, people with disabilities, folks in rural environments that don't have direct access to banking. As you and I started this conversation, we talked about the trillions and the billions that are going unmet when it comes to good businesses that get declined. Our goal with using AI is that, again, there are other inputs of data, not just a FICO score or an early business credit, that would allow not just innovators, but big banks to approve credit and loans. The way that data, how fast it can be crunched, and the amount of information that can go in now should change these numbers, Namdi. We should be spitting out so much more loans and credit to viable business plans, not just based on credit history.
It's interesting that you said that, right? Because I had a show last year. I need to look up the exact title, but had a FinTech on. He was based in South Africa, and what he was able to create was another way to look at banks to approve. It could be a local farmer, it could be someone who has a business in a marketplace. And it was, I've never, when I interviewed him, I never heard of this concept of someone doing it, but he looked at it from a grocery perspective,
Huh.
right? So every time you go to the grocery store, right, most people scan in their code to get their rewards, right? So hooking up that technology with that code, he's able now to see your grocery transactions. and consistent. I mean, these guys are, so he sees, okay, this is what they're spending consistently on
Mhm.
groceries. Some of it's cash. Then he partnered with the company partnered with the banks now, and now the banks seeing the data, and then you're getting, some response. So instead of the classic rewards on, I don't know, 10% off Dove soap, it's like, oh, okay, why not come into our bank? And they're using that data now to start to get the unbanked to
Yeah.
bank, and if they're using some more products that they can leverage. I mean, we're talking about micro loans at this point. We're not
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
$5,000, $10,000. So that episode, it was really interesting. It goes back to your point in terms of, you know in enabling AI in this process. Now we can look at unstructured data
Right.
from various aspects, bringing that all together now to form a more holistic picture, rather
Exactly.
than traditional stuff that they ask small businesses, like especially within the first 24 months, is, oh, can I
Right.
see your 2 years of tax returns? And then, and unfortunately, right, a lot of small business sometimes report less on their tax returns to avoid
Right.
paying the
Yeah.
taxes when they
Yeah.
when
It's
they do
it's it's
that.
kind of like our 403B. It's like, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
so
yeah, and you know what's interesting, Naomi? It almost goes full circle back to the OG banker, which is kind of interesting. So, you go back, let's talk about World War II generation. To get a loan back then, you walk in, you develop a relationship with a human being who learns everything about you, your family. They go out and see your land, they look at your receipts, they understand your character. And so they actually had more of a holistic view, right, on everything. And then we swung to this middle lane of like, oh, this is efficient. We're just going to look at these 3 or 4 data points, and that time of the relational banker is gone. This comes all the way up again onto, I'm going to take a full view, of your life, your lifestyle, your purchasing habits, your payment habits. So I don't know. I know it sounds lofty, but it's kind of this funny pendulum.
no, it doesn't sound lofty at all. And that is an excellent analogy, because of all, having conversations with fintechs, having conversations with, just the different sides of this game from doing this show. That is the first time I heard that particular analogy. And it makes so much sense, right?
Well, even now, I tell small business owners to go develop a strong relationship with your banker, and the more local the bank, the better. So that, because there is still that a little bit of human, especially the smaller regional or community banks, there still is a little bit of the ability for the human being to override the system. And, so my big thing is, before you need an emergency line of credit, which everyone will need it at some point, either for growth or for a problem, make sure that banker has seen your face. They known you the last few years. They know your reputation, so that the first time you need them, you're not in some big emergency. So there is still this human connection. I also tell business owners, make banks fight for you. Do not go to one bank, go to 4 before you decide who you're banking with, and make sure they know that you're shopping around. Banks need to fight for business too. And so walking in, sitting down, presenting your plan to multiples is important. Don't just do it online. Go develop. And if you saw that during, PPP, when, the folks who got it fastest were those who actually knew their banker and could call and say, I need help. I don't know how to apply to this, da, 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 da. So I also just encourage, in the meantime, for folks to develop relationships with your bankers.
Think that's excellent advice. I mean, like I mentioned before, outside of technology, I've just been in, probably 3 years after 2 to 3 years after college, just got into real estate with my first home, and then from there, always did it on the side for the last like 24 years. And agree with you. I mean, I would even say something even simple as open up an account
Mhm.
that, so you put enough money in, you're not charged fees, because every single bank I worked with outside of technology, specifically for real estate, the first question they ask us, do you have a relationship with us?
Yeah.
And this is all the time. Look, a relationship could be $250 in a bank account,
Yes,
right?
that's exactly right. Yeah.
It's not that you have 1,000 or 50,000 or 1,000,000. That's a start of a relationship.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. The other thing is really for business owners, really learn about operational credit with your credit card. Your business credit card is so I find those to be so under leveraged. So particularly folks that are making consistent purchases week over week. So restaurants, construction, anyone who has products, really understand your point system, understand the value of discounts, understand sometimes if you've been with a credit company like for 3+ years, they will actually do a line of credit for you in an emergency. But again, this is the working in the business versus on the business. Like actually call that company and say, what are my rewards? What are my benefits? Is there insurance connected to this? Is there so I always find I'm always surprised a little bit, that and some of it might be also if you're construction and you're working with Home Depot, and I don't know anything about them, but I do know that they have credit programs if you solely buy from them. So again, operational credit, like take a minute, dig in and learn with those credit cards what your benefits are, and also if don't buy things with cash, buy things where you're going to get points and rewards, because a dollar on top of a dollar, I mean, that goes back to our generational companies who love cash and so on, like man. And also most of those credit cards will plug right back into your accounting software, so you're not having to exchange the receipts and save this. It'll plug it in, it'll show you the data, what are your purchasing habits. So a lot of this stuff exists and is underutilized and under leveraged, and it's at low or no cost that we're not using.
it's interesting you say that, right? So, about a year, it's been 2 years now, right? I was rehabbing a home, and I was using I have to shop these people out, right? Using my American Express to buy the
Mhm.
materials, right? And unfortunately, like a few weeks into completing, we got robbed, and they took
Oh,
materials. They took like it was devastating. But I called American Express. I said, "This is what happened. Here's the police report." And they didn't reimburse me everything, but they gave me some. They gave me like a few thousand back, and they didn't
wow.
have to,
That's
just
awesome.
because the insurance or whatever they said you have to show proof, and I wasn't expecting anything. And
Right.
they, and so if I used cash to buy those
No way.
items that were stolen, I would have got nothing back. And it wasn't. It was just that was their policy for that particular card that I had. So it ties right into the advice that you just said.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And that kind of goes back to the AI stuff and so on is just, if you can even say, I'm going to put 2 1-hour slots a week on my calendar, stick to it because it's not the fun part, but I'm going to dig into, my existing benefits, or I'm going to dig into how to learn the new AI tool in QuickBooks, then that hour will pay you back, I guarantee you. But put it on the calendar, stick to it, whatever your most productive day of the week and time of day is, do it then. Learn those tools, and then there you have it, right?
You know, I want to ask another question. I want to be respectful of your time, so I know we're approaching the hour soon. You've serviced over 1.5 million entrepreneurs and small businesses on Hello Alice. Can you give us some lessons you learned from that?
Oh my goodness. Um, I mean, there's so many. Well, one, I just want I love small business because the resiliency is so awesome and the inspiration and the hard work. Those who make it are generally very calculated risk takers. The big blitz growth, big taker risk is, I think, gone are those days. So folks that are very careful with their capital, who really analyze, they use data, they take calculated risks are important. Two is you've got to work as hard as you can, hopefully to have 3 months of bills in the bank. You need 3 months of cash reserve in the bank. Most small businesses have 2 to 3 weeks. Now I mean, look at COVID, look at the natural disasters that happen in this country. If you get sick and have to close, the folks who make it through whatever hurdles that God God helps us get through, just keeping that cash in the bank. And it's so hard because you want to use it and so on, but put it over here, leave it, forget about it, make sure it's in a growth fund. So that's another thing. I think those who really are good at partnerships tend to thrive. So partner with other businesses in your community, partner with bigger brands to do marketing, partner with not influencers like, but local community leaders. Partnerships are king, and sometimes they're tricky, but they tend to, multiply whatever results you're doing. Um, and then finally, what is it that only you can do? And then outside of that, use the software or the employees or subcontractors to do the rest. Because entrepreneurs and CEOs are there because of their personalities, because they are the best at this. So, don't get bogged down in the minutia of having to do everything, and figure out how to delegate. And delegating might be, again, using a software. It's not necessarily hiring someone, but be efficient so that you can do what you do best.
Yeah, that's the way we close. I absolutely love it, because it's like when someone like yourself, who you have all these small businesses that you work with on a consistent basis, you see the highs, the lows, you
Mhm.
hear stories, you have the data. I'm always curious to what are the lessons learned, and I'm big on learning the lesson from someone talking to me rather than experiencing myself if I could avoid it. So I appreciate that. So what we do at the end of our show, I mean, you read over Hello Alice, go over it again for people. I'm going to give you the stage to talk about Hello Alice, the big idea, how people can find you. Also, really important, how small businesses can get started leveraging Hello Alice,
Mhm.
and just what do they need. Another question I have before I give you the stage: if an entrepreneur has multiple small businesses, can they each one of those small businesses
Sure.
sign up on?
Yeah, and
Okay,
it's good to do them separate because you're gonna get different advice for different businesses, for sure. Yeah, because 'cause you're
got it,
signing up the business, not you as an individual. Yeah.
got it, got it. All right, listen, I'm gonna get off stage and then give you the platform.
Well, first of all, Namdi, thanks for having us. Come to Hello Alice. Take your business health score is the easiest first step on helloalice.com, because it's really going to show us where is your business, what are your needs. The next step is you might be looking for funding. So we have our grants center. I think right now we have about 8 million available in grants. We have a loan center that has 92 lenders on it that are non-predatory, that one application can show you which ones are specific. We have secured and unsecured credit. And then we help you in the business. So business planning tools, we have webinars, we have decision trees, we have events. And then if you're looking to get inspired and have fun, come on to the Big Idea every Thursday with Yahoo Finance, where we have everyone from companies like Warby Parker to Waze to folks, Rebecca Minkoff, folks that have been through the same trials and tribulations that you have. And I love talking to you at Elizabeth Gore USA anytime and learning from all of you. So, Namdi, thank you so much for having us. This has been a great conversation.
Elizabeth, thank you very much for being on the show. Listen, I learned a lot. Like I said, I'm passionate about small businesses, helping them, and also having being involved in small businesses myself. I'm always eager to learn lessons. And you know what? I didn't know about Hello Alice prior to booking the show and getting you on. Now that I know, definitely going to sign up because it
Good.
can really help us out. I'm thinking of certain partnerships and things that I have that I would like to sign up on that. So really interesting. So let me just talk to the audience real quick. Like I always say, whether you're watching the show today, tomorrow, next year, we really, really thank you for your viewership and all the messages that you send us. Every week we have a free newsletter at the Tech Behind FinTech. You can go there. I'll post it on the channel. You go to the Tech Behind FinTech /subscribe and join our newsletter. You'll keep you on the finger on the pulse of fintech. Free information, free to join. Also give you insights on our upcoming guests and things that we talked about. So it's definitely worth it to join our newsletter. Other than that, I wish everyone a happy weekend. Elizabeth, it was an absolute pleasure to
So
meet
great to
you
meet you.
and talk with you for this last hour. I appreciate your insight. It has given me some stuff to think about as well. I know our audience benefits as well. So with that said, you enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Cheers. All right, guys. Thank you. Take care.
Understanding the technology that powers the money is essential. Knowing the business drivers that inspire how the money is made is crucial. Bridging the gap between the mind of the technologist and the mind of the business is monumental. That is what TBF is all about. Let's start this never-ending conversation. It's time.